Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for the St. Louis Appointments Project overview. We're so excited you're here with us today on kind of another crazy February weather day. I'm Beth Felsky. I'm the Appointments Project Director for United We. First off, I want to thank the City of St. Louis as well as all of our community partners, which you can see listed there on the screen. And we are so delighted and so appreciative of their efforts in spreading the word about the opportunity to learn more about boards and commissions. And special thanks to the Mayor of St. Louis, Mayor Tashara Jones, for her partnership with United We and her efforts to make sure that boards and commissions in the city of St. Louis are representative of their communities. So thank you, Mayor. And on behalf of Mayor Jones, I want to welcome Angela Pearson to talk on behalf of the city of St. Louis. Angela?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Beth. I'm Angela Pearson, Special Projects Manager for Mayor Tashara Jones. I'm so excited to see almost 50 people. Oh, we just hit 50 right now. 50 people on this webinar today. Again, thank you to United We, the Appointments Project for hosting us today and hosting this webinar. We also want to thank our civic partners, MPHC Council of St. Louis, the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce, the Links chapters of St. Louis, the Archway and the St. Louis chapters, Tower Grove, Pride, and 100 Black Men of St. Louis. All of these civic partners worked with us to promote this webinar today, as well as get the word out about boards and commissions in St. Louis. As you guys know, boards and commissions play a vital role in our government. They help ensure accountability, bring fresh ideas and solutions, and they serve as a voice of the community. They reflect what the constituents and residents want and need. And you guys being here today, this is your opportunity to share your talents and treasures to make St. Louis a better place where everyone can thrive. And so boards and commissions help us in reaching that goal. We have over 73 boards and commissions to manage, and it is important to us that our civic boards are reflective of the great and rich diversity that is St. Louis. We want people of all backgrounds, educations, and experiences to apply to serve. I do want to give you a quick overview of how we got here today. Over the last few months, we've worked with our web team to develop an online application portal for boards and commissions. At first, we were a paper-only system. And so I'm very happy that we are here today in the 21st century using an online application process. The new website that we have now will allow you to see all of the 73 boards and commissions. You'll be able to see who's serving on that board, their expiration of their term, and you can read a description of the responsibilities of what that board or commission does. And so these features help ensure more transparency. And then also too, for you all who are interested in serving, you get to see what you're signing up for. When you go to the new website, you may see that there's a large number of people serving beyond term. That's because a lot of our boards and commissions haven't had new members in several years. And so with this administration, we are very intentional and actively working to address that by doing events like this, talking to folks and getting them to join us in serving the city of St. Louis. The application itself is very straightforward and simple. We ask for your basic, contact information, and you're able to upload some important documents like your resume. And my colleague, Michelle Knox, who's here on this call, she'll talk a little bit more about what that process looks like, but please use this time to ask questions. We're just happy you're here and we're wanting to, share that information with you. Michelle?
Thank you, Angela. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for joining us today. Angela pretty much covered everything. My name is Michelle Knox. I oversee the mayor's boards and commission appointments. And Angela kind of basically gave an overview of what our boards and commissions are and she did give a little background on our website. Just to piggyback on what Angela mentioned, we do have over 73 active boards and commissions that the mayor appoints to. Some of these boards and commissions that we have are subject to the Board of Aldermen approval, which means that the mayor must have the Board of Aldermen consent before any appointment can be official. We also, our boards and commissions, some of our boards have a complex set of rules, and which means that it's a complex set of rules, which means how the board is made up and what qualifications that we're looking for. So once an application comes in, my process is once an application is received, I make sure that the applicant is compliant with the board legislation, which every board has ordinance attached to its board and commission, and it has specific rules that you have to go by. So I just make sure that the applicant is compliant. I do a little minor background check. I make sure that taxes are up to date. I make sure that some of the boards you have to be a city resident. So I make sure that you reside in the city, you're a voting taxpayer and things like that. So I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous and I'm going all over the place. But like Angela mentioned, we do have a new website. We are up to date with everything. At first, we did receive a lot of paper. So going to the website will eliminate a lot of that. It will help me move a lot quicker. It will help the public see what we have available. It gives all the descriptions. And like Angela said, it's a simple and easy process. You can go on there, upload your information and your resume or anything else you would like to attach. Yes, it's an easy and it's an easy process. So I'm excited. I'm excited about this new website. So I'm excited. Any questions? Again, my name is Michelle Knox. I oversee Mayor Jones' boards and commission process. My information is on the website. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Angela, and just amazing job on the website, which we'll talk about a little bit later in today's program. And then also, we will have a Q&A session as well. So great to dive into that. Before we jump into the Appointments Project overview, I'd like to introduce the CEO of United We, Wendy Doyle. Wendy?
Thank you, Beth. It's great to be with everyone today. And on behalf of United We and the team, Beth Felsky and Rachel Holloway, part of the Appointments Project team, welcome to this extraordinary training today, overview session. In an effort for us to get to know one another, drop your name and the organization that you're with in the chat box so we can get to know and meet one another. We've got a great turnout today. Just to share a little bit about United We, our mission is working to advance all women's economic and civic leadership. A couple of things that you should know about our organization: we serve the entire state of Missouri. We're headquartered in Kansas City, Missouri, and we are an evidence-based, research-driven organization. So we really look at data and facts to inform our organization and all of our decision-making on what we can do to advance women economically and civically. We're going to talk, today's focus will be on our civic leadership portion of our mission, but just to give a couple of examples of our economic work and some of our policy priorities. As an organization, we've really leaned into pay equity, we've leaned into paid family and medical leave, and certainly as women are experiencing as we come out of the pandemic, childcare has really surfaced as a tremendous economic barrier for women and their families. So these just are just a few examples of some of our policy priorities work. Again, welcome. We're so glad you're here. And now I'd like to turn it back to Beth Felsky, our Appointments Project Director. Beth?
Thanks, Wendy. As Wendy said, civic leadership appointments project is that component of civic leadership. And the appointments project was established to engage and empower more women to serve on boards and commissions. And how this was established was based on the research. So today we're going to start talking a little bit about our research. The question, we had is, are local governments aware of gender disparity? Is there an effort to change this? How do women feel about civic leadership? And what are some of the barriers really preventing women from applying or getting appointed to boards and commissions? So some of the reasons that were cited for low participation were just women not having the confidence or maybe not being asked. Not really knowing if they spent the time serving, if that time would be used wisely, and also just kind of a sense of belonging, wanting to know that they were welcome at the table. And we also know that women do serve on boards and commissions and in civic leadership roles. There's a positive impact. So we know it increases public trust in government. We know there's a boost in efficiency and improvement in the lives of residents, as well as really driving innovation, bringing new ideas to the table. We also have our Project Diane research that told us ways in which men who are serving could really also assist women. Some of the things that women were looking for were mentorship, nominating them for positions when they're serving and they know there might be a vacancy. So a really important piece of the process. So what is Appointments Project role? Well, we serve as a resource and a guide and a voice and an advocate. And I'm going to jump into kind of some of the ways in which we do that. But we're working on both sides, best practices for cities, as well as working with the women, who are interested in serving and helping them navigate that process. A little bit about our success. We have over 170 appointments and counting, and we work with cities, counties, and states, both rural and urban. So we're really proud of this number. We also know that a priority for us will be to increase the number of women of color that are applying for boards and commissions. And we've seen a slow uptick, but obviously still a lot of room for improvement. So you are ready and qualified to apply. So one of the questions is, well, what do I need to do if I want to apply? You're ready. You don't have to have some specific board and commission training. You just really need to be passionate about your community and know your strengths. It's really important to know what you bring to the table and to be able to advocate for yourself. But there is a place for you. There's a board or commission out there for you. So I just want to touch base real quick on kind of civic boards and commissions, quick background, and how these differ maybe a little bit from nonprofit boards. And so you're really dealing with community issues. And, the difference too between boards and commissions. First of all, boards and commissions, they're established by a city charter ordinance, right? And then a board and commissions, really very similar, not a lot of difference there. Boards tend to be more supervisorial or investigative, whereas commissions usually are performing a specific duty. And then there's also committees. Certain cities call them different things, but those are usually a little more research or grassroots related. So there's lots of different ways to get engaged. So with the Appointments Project, how we serve as a resource is you can register with us. You automatically will receive a toolkit, and then you would apply to the boards or commissions in St. Louis that you're interested in. We ask that you stay connected, and we also encourage women to celebrate their appointment. So this just a quick look at our website. This is where you would register with us. The more information you provide us, the easier it is to help you find a place that's a good match for you. And then you automatically would receive a toolkit from us that has additional resources. And then just some additional online resources. You know, some women are asking about, you know, the yays and nays of meetings. You don't have to be a professional or expert in parliamentary procedure or Robert's Rule of Order. It's something you can learn along the way. And lots of quick, easy, you can Google some really quick, easy cheat sheets on that as well. And as well as kind of the laws of transparency for board and commissions. So to the website, which everyone has been talking about, and they've done an amazing job, the City of St. Louis. And these are just some highlights, which both Michelle and Angela had talked about earlier. You can see it is one of the most user-friendly websites I've seen for boards and commissions. So I encourage you all, you know, to kind of go in there and take a look. But you can see right on the front page there, you can view the boards, you can apply to serve. You know, you can click in here for more details about each individual one, which is amazing. Tells you the openings, the current board members, and, you know, like there's one that's an at-large seat. And this is what I really love that I think is unique to the City of St. Louis from what we've seen is just preparation, you know, giving you some tips, you know, prior to applying to the board or commission. This is really valuable information and even includes instructions. So, you know, like I said, it's super user friendly. And also includes contact information for if you have questions. So the transparency is really, really great. So you can check on the status of an application, which is a great feature as well. So with Appointments Project, you know, as you go through this process, if you have any questions, we encourage you to reach out to us. We can assist with anything you might need. So we are a resource for you throughout the process. And then when you get appointed, we would love to hear from you. We would love to share your information on social media and on our website, so then you can share it as well. You can share it with your friends, your networks, the organizations you're involved in. And why is this important? Because women who see other women who look like them, who have similar backgrounds, serving in public service really motivates and encourages and empowers them to consider serving as well. So what's in it for me? You know, we know by serving there's leadership growth, development, the networking is amazing, meeting different people from different backgrounds in your community and really making an impact in your community, really having the potential to impact policy. And, you know, what's in it for your community improves decision-making. And these are all the things kind of our research has told us that we talked about briefly at the beginning of the presentation. Increasing bipartisanship. We really see this also, you know, as you get into elected positions and at the state level, having different approaches to issues, and the diversity improves public trust. So before we dive into the Q&A, what I would like to do is introduce Alicia Saunier, who is a board member with St. Louis Public Schools. And I have to say, I viewed your profile on LinkedIn and you have such an impressive background. I'm delighted that you're here with us today. And so I'm going to stop sharing screen and turn it over to you to tell us a little bit about your journey into leadership.
Alicia, you're on mute.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm grateful and really happy to be here today and have the opportunity to speak to you all. I think it's great that one, that this process is being updated and modernized so that it can be more accessible to people. And I'm happy to see such a huge turnout. So hopefully that means that, more people are thinking about it, and also a more diverse group of people are thinking about it. So I am on St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education. And so for those of you who may not know, every public school in the city of St. Louis makes up one school district, and that district has a board of 7 people that is elected. And so I ran a campaign and did the whole thing. And then I lost by 26 votes. There was 10 of us running. I think I got about 14,889. And so I lost by 26 and was the next one up. But then our treasurer became our mayor. And then she put Adam Lane, who was on the Board of Education, in the treasurer's seat, who was the chief deputy. And then she appointed me to the Board of Education. I was honored enough to have her support when I was running and campaigning for the Board of Education. And then, there was an opening. And so I think the fact that she supported me, that I, as a career, I work as a mental health advocate, and I'm currently back in school for a nursing degree. And then also that I was next up, I was able to get the appointment. And then also, once I got appointed to the St. Louis Public Schools, the Board of Education, I also ended up, as a result of that, getting appointed to the TIF Commission for the city of St. Louis. We get 2 seats on that commission, and myself and our chief financial officer serve on those boards. So that's kind of like my journey to leadership. I think a lot of what has been highlighted is what I would highlight. I think a lot of times what holds us back is thinking that we're not qualified for things, is we over question ourselves. But something that I think we can all walk away from our president before the one that we currently have of the United States is just to reshape and rethink what you think qualification is. I think when it comes to our city, what's most important is having someone who represents the people, and having someone who is just committed and has a true desire for serving and being of service. As far as like Robert's rules and what leadership traditionally looks like, I think the goal isn't to duplicate what we've seen, is to create what we know needs to exist. When I'm the youngest person who's ever been on the Board of Education in St. Louis. I don't yet have any children. I have a degree in psychology, but I'm back in school for nursing, but I don't have like a traditional education type of view. I come from an activist organizer background. So, but what's important, everything that you need to know, you will learn, you will and you can learn. Robert's rules, I know those was mentioned, the rules of order, those things are not things that I knew before, but I know like the back of my hand now with no problem. So I just hope that you all are, really open to not counting yourself out and counting yourself in, and really realizing how important it is that your voice is in the room, and that your perspective is there, and that it does make a difference, and it's great for you, and it's great for your community, and it can be such a door to other opportunities as well, to grow as a leader and to grow your community.
Alicia, thank you so much for joining and kind of sharing your story. I think we'll go ahead and really dive into Q&A. And one of the questions actually I have for you is if you could talk a little bit kind of about the time commitment for both of the boards that you serve on.
So for me, the Board of Education it's a time commitment. But I think it's a little bit different because it's an elected citywide position. So the Board of Education is actually its own independent governing body. And like the district, we have 17,000 students. We have a $400 million budget. So what we do is like very wide and very expensive. We're the 3rd largest employer entity in the city. So it is time consuming. And also, like I said, sometimes it's about how serious you take it. So when I came and joined, I would say originally the time commitment might have been, technically we meet every 2 weeks, and then whatever committee assignments you get. Maybe when I first started, it was maybe 5 hours a week. But then myself and my board were kind of all of a new board. We've started a legislation and advocacy committee. We've started a committee to develop a citywide educational plan. And so, and those are both committees that I vice chair or am chair of. And so the time commitment has increased, and like we went to the Capitol last week. So I've decided to take the role, and I think education is really important, and there's a lot of things that need to be done. And so sometimes it can be time consuming, but then like the TIF Commission, for example, would be a good example of maybe what some other appointments might look at, because for that role, I mean, a lot of that has just been elective. I've just been taking the time to learn because, like we said, not knowing, not being as familiar with development and developmental processes when I first got the assignment back in July. I've taken the time to read, get articles, talk to experts in the area, but we haven't officially had anything come through the TIF Commission since I've joined. So that has been like not as much of a time commitment. It's something very much on my own terms.
That's great. Thank you. I think that's really helpful for women to kind of get an idea of what that looks like. I really encourage you to enter your questions into the chat, or there's actually, feel free to speak up with any questions you have for either city staff, myself, or our appointee today.
I'll go ahead and ask a question too, Beth, for Alicia. I know you talked about your journey, and I'm a huge fan of you and your rise to leadership. Can you talk about once you were, you found out you were appointed, how you felt in, assuming the role? Did you have any, imposter syndrome? I know that's something that people feel a lot when in new spaces. Like, how did you adjust to, being on the board?
For sure. So I would say imposter syndrome is 100% real. But I think what helped me get past it is just understanding, I think a lot of times if people like you haven't been in leadership, you know what it feels like when you feel like your government is inaccessible, when you feel like processes are not transparent, and when you just feel like you're not represented. And something that I have gotten a lot since I've joined and got the appointment is an affirmation from my community. Like, seeing you there makes me feel like I can do this too. Like, I have people that ask me about running for office now and running campaigns, or even just want to take different leadership roles. They reach out to me and they let me know that, like, seeing you do that, being that you're like 25 at the time when you got appointed, being that it's very a non-traditional role, it makes me feel like I can do that. Or even like I get outreach from like scholars in our district who want to just talk to me about, they're thinking about running for SGA, or they're thinking about different leadership roles where they are. So for me, that helps me get past imposter syndrome. And also, like, I am a very strong believer that you are already qualified. So much of what you need to know can be there. And I can also say that, like on those toolkits that you all will get when you do the appointments and having access to, you will have access to people. You're not going to just get appointed and be alone. Like, it's a board, it's a commission. So there's other board members. So I have good relationships with the president of the Board of Education and my other board members. And even on a TIF commission, when I got that appointment, I felt like, because I campaigned for board education, so I knew what that role came with. The TIF commission I wasn't expecting, but I just built relationships with other commissioners. I talked about what equitable development looked like. I talked about, what are some of the things that would help us to recommend or not recommend a project. So I think relationship building and just understanding that you are qualified and you really have to do that internal work to knock that idea out. And again, having that confidence that a lot of other folks who aren't women and who aren't people of color tend to have, you got to have that and understand that whatever you need, you can get. Like I said, the most important thing is being someone who's willing to commit and being someone who's willing to represent the people and being open to different models of leadership and thinking differently about what qualifies us and being real about the barriers there. But yeah, so I would just say, like, imposter syndrome is real, but it's not real, really. You have everything you need, and whatever you don't need, when you get to that board, when you get to that commission, even if you want to email me, like, reach out to people, build relationships, because nobody starts off as an expert. Nobody starts off as knowing it all. Anybody you're looking at in that seat that's really doing a good job, when they first started, they didn't know everything and they didn't have the groundwork either. So just like they were able to acquire the knowledge and the skills over time, you can too.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't know if you were done.
Oh, yes, she was done. Thank you, Alicia, for that.
No, you had a question. Okay. Hi, I am Deidre Thomas Murray. I coordinate homeless and foster care services at St. Louis Public Schools. My question is, how much time will serving in this capacity, how much time do you need to set aside to even perform this seat, serve in that seat?
So different boards and commissions have different time commitments that come with them. And so depending on the board or commission that you're interested in, on the website, you'll see in the description, like if they meet monthly or quarterly. So you can really tailor it to meet your schedule based on the board and commission that you apply for. I do want to address some of the questions that are in the chat. There was a question about, are there any boards or commissions that pay per diem or pay per meeting? Michelle, I know that there are some boards and commissions that pay. Can you speak to what that looks like?
Yes, we have up to 12 boards that offer stipends. I can give you a couple examples. We have the Airport Commission is up to $53 per meeting. The Board of Adjustment, $60 per meeting. The Civil Service Commission, they pay up to $50 up to 30 minutes. And this is just a few of some of our boards that offer stipends.
Thank you, Michelle. And while some boards offer stipends, we have plenty of others that are volunteer-based. And so there's a great mix to what we offer for our boards and commissions. Another question that we have is asking again about time commitment. Is it possible to serve on a board or commission while having a full-time job? Do most boards require a person to work 9 to 5? Most boards and commissions are very minimal time commitments, 2-hour meetings in the evening or over the lunch hours. So yes, you can definitely work a full-time job while still serving on a board or commission. Truly working or serving on a board is, you know, a minimal time commitment compared to your total day and the hours that you work. So yes, you can definitely do both. Again, depending on the board or commission, you might only meet once a month for an hour, hour and a half, 90 minutes. So it's just like an additional volunteer capacity that you would be serving. Another question in the chat is, there are many boards who have members serving beyond terms. Is there going to be a way to apply for boards that have no vacancies but have members serving beyond terms? That's a great question. And yes, you can. Feel free to go ahead and reach out to Michelle if there's a board or commission where there isn't a vacancy. The way in which the system works is we can't consider it a vacancy if they're still serving beyond term, but there are lots of boards and commissions in which we want to, you know, replace the full board or replace half. You know, there's a lot of people serving beyond term that we want to thank them for their service, but also give an opportunity for new and fresh blood to come in and serve and bring in new ideas and solutions. So yes, there's definitely an opportunity for that. So if there is a board or commission that you have in mind that might not have a vacancy at the moment, please don't hesitate to reach out to Michelle, because we're actively trying to replace and recruit people to address those, you know, people serving beyond term.
Angela, do most of those meet at City Hall, or can they serve virtually, or does it just vary by board and commission?
That's a great question. And Michelle, feel free to chime in here. The boards are, depending on the board and commission and the group, it varies. So some like to meet in person, some are virtual. Michelle, let me know if I'm off the mark here.
That's correct. That's correct, Angela.
Perfect. So yes, it's a
hybrid.
Yeah, it's a mix, and it really depends on the board or commission. Like we said, there's 73 boards and commissions on the city, and so they each kind of operate a little bit differently as it relates to the meetings. But if for whatever reason, if someone needs to request a virtual meeting, we'd be happy to work to accommodate that.
And
Angela, can I chime? I'm sorry.
No, yes, go ahead, Michelle.
I just wanted to go back and chime in. Someone had asked the question, if someone is serving beyond term, can they still apply for that board? Just wanted to let you guys know that on the website, even though there may not be a vacancy, you're still able to apply for a board and commission. And it should be a note section in the online portal where you can maybe put that you're interested in serving on maybe the planning commission. Maybe the planning commission doesn't have any vacancies, but you can still apply for that board. So I just wanted to just to let them know that they can still apply, even though that board doesn't have a vacancy.
And Michelle, do they need to be a resident of St. Louis to serve on a board or commission? Can they live in the outlying areas, or does that differ on particular boards and commissions?
It's just different on particular boards. Some boards you have to be a city resident. Some boards you can live on the borders or outside. So basically we have citywide, which you would have to be a resident, and we have some regional boards, which does not require that you have to be a city resident.
These are great questions. Are there any more? Keep them coming.
And I would just add that you can definitely work full time, and I'm on a board and a commission, and I have a full-time job, and I'm in school full-time as well and serve on these boards. So that's definitely possible. And then also just reminding folks that it's hard to have like one uniform answer of whether or not, how often does a board meet, or can I do a hybrid, because all of the boards are so different and have different requirements. But if you go to the actual website, and because I took the time to click through it, and you click on the board, it tells you like what their standard meetings are, how often that is, the frequency of that, and what the traditional times are. And some of them even have contact information of folks who you can call. So you can ask, would it be an option for me to attend virtually? Do you guys plan on keeping that option? So I would just say that as well.
Thank you, Alicia. And that's a great point. Our boards and commissions are public. These are public meetings. So you can always, if you're on the border, like, hey, I think I'm interested in this board or commission, tune into their meetings and see what's going on, how they're operating, ways in which you could bring improvements. And just you can kind of always go in and just shadow or observe, if you will, a board meeting that you're interested in. So that's the one way to stay engaged. And then also too, it's a good way for you to see if that's something that you think would be a good fit for you and your skill set. I see a question here in the chat. How do you handle reappointments? Michelle, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Most boards, we have a few boards that in legislation it states that no board member can serve 2 consecutive terms. So we do have a few boards that have that law. When reappointments come in, what I do is I give it over to the mayor, especially since this is a new administration. I give her the opportunity. I ask her, would she like to either recommend this person for reappointment, or would she like to replace this person? What we do is I gather as much information as I can. I make sure that the person is in compliant. I do, background checks. I make sure that the board is in compliant. I just gather as much information as I can to give to the mayor so she can make her decision. Some members are reappointed. I mean, if they're a good asset to the board, they do tend to keep them. Some members are replaced. Some are. So we handle our reappointments the same way we handle a new appointment, basically.
Yes. And then there's another question in the chat on, is there a full-time staff member that supports the operations of boards and commissions? Yes, that's Michelle, who's here on this call. She is the one who will support you throughout the process. In addition to the appointments project and United We, they'll help navigate, answer questions, and Michelle will too on behalf of the city. So we are, with the new website, we wanted to offer an abundance of support because we know that this process might seem intimidating or confusing to folks who haven't participated before. And so we want to make sure that we give you all the support, answer all the questions you need so that this will be a seamless process for everyone involved. Will Appointments Project connect me with St. Louis County appointments? I'll give that to Beth.
We would love to help you navigate that process. So I would just tell you, feel free to reach out to me. I will put my email address in the chat.
Angela, a question that we often receive is, can you apply to more than one board and commission at the same time? And then secondly, what's the timeline for the appointment? just to manage expectations.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. That's a great question. So we'll answer this in two parts because I know Michelle will have some insight on this as well. Yes, you can apply to multiple boards or commissions as long as you're able, as long as the meetings don't simultaneously conflict with each other. You can't be in two places at once, but yes, you can absolutely opt to join more than one board or commission. Regarding the second part of that question, Wendy, I just forgot what the second part was.
The timeline to get appointed.
Yes, the
application timeline to appointment. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Michelle will give you some insight there because depending on if it requires a board of aldermen vote, it might depend on that. So go ahead, Michelle.
Exactly. The timeline. It depends. Once the applicant comes in, like I said previously, when the application comes in, I begin the vetting process. I make sure they're compliant. I go to my state and city laws and I make sure that the board is compliant, the applicant is compliant. I do my background checks. If I have no concern of issue, we move forward with the appointment. Like Angela said, some appointments require the Board of Aldermen approval. So it depends. Once I gather all of my information, the appointments that have to go through the mayor, I either gather the information and give to the mayor for review and approval, or I'll send them over to the Board of Aldermen if they need their consent. And I will have to wait on the Board of Aldermen. Sometimes the aldermen will recommend a person, or if that person lives in a certain ward, what I would recommend is get your alderman support. That will make the appointment process go a little bit easier because you have their support, and your appointment have to go through the full Board of Aldermen. So they'll know that this appointment is coming through and you have their support. So it depends on if I have any issues or concerns or either the Board of Aldermen. So I just have to wait. So the timeline can be fairly quickly, or it could be a little slow. So it just depends on what the situation is. Now, if you apply for something that you're in compliant with, and you get the mayor's okay, and we don't have a vacancy on the board, I do hold applications for maybe about a year or so. So if we do have a vacancy that you're on a board that you're interested in, we'll go ahead, give you a call, match you up and see if you're interested. Or if we have something available that we see that your qualifications and your background match this board, we'll reach out and say, hey, we think you'll be a good fit. What do you think about that? So the process, it depends. It could be fairly easy, or it could take some time.
And that's the thing with some of the appointments, it really depends on the board and commission and what the requirements are. So going to the website and reading the description, it'll also tell you what the necessary vetting processes are for each board or commission. Will help provide some insight as well. I see some more questions in the chat. What if your professional experience does not relate to the board that you're interested in or getting involved with? Should you still apply? Absolutely. This is an opportunity to build your skill set and your strengths. And honestly, one's professional experience or background doesn't always have to match, because your strengths and your skills are transferable and can be utilized in multiple ways on different boards and commissions. So yes, please apply, because we know that a diverse perspective and skill set is what's going to make the board operation and function better.
And Angela, I'd like to piggyback on that a little bit too. One of the things we found, especially sometimes, people have been out of the workforce altogether and they want to get engaged, in civic leadership. But they really do have a lot of things that they've been doing that they could, bring to the table. Maybe they've been working on a community fundraiser, maybe they've been volunteering at their child's school, maybe they've been working on a political campaign. Those are all different skills, that they can bring to a board or commission. So, I would say, look at your activities, your hobbies, maybe other organizations you're involved with and what your role has been. And those are all great things, great assets that you can really put on your list to advocate for your seat.
I think that's a great point, Beth. Thank you so much for adding that. Another question, is there an open application period to receive applications, or can you apply at any time? It is always open. This is a continuous process. As you guys have heard, we have 73 boards and commissions. We are always working on this. This is an ongoing thing. So yes, apply at any time, whenever you're ready. We'll be here for you. Another question, if we have a lot of interest, how many should we list? I think that's a great question. If you have a lot of interest, please feel free to put that in your resume. There's no, there's no number, a finite number of how many interests you should list. Please put them all, apply to as many boards and commissions as you want. We'll make sure that we fit you with the right ones that fit what you're interested in, but there's not really a limit here. We're just wanting people who are eager and wanting to serve, and we'll figure out all those other details as we go on. Beth, I know we have 10 minutes left. I don't know if there's a conclusion or any wrap up comments that you'd like. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Angela. I have a quick question. Yeah, thanks for putting this. I came across this on the Twitter. This is Tejesh. I'm from Omniscope. We are a technology consulting company here in St. Louis. It's very right timing, I guess. We are just moving into the city. We just bought a property, and I'm a big champion of the city. So nice to see everybody here. One quick question as you wrap up is the qualification criteria. I'm on a visa here on the way to path to the citizenship and all that stuff. What are the limitations around visas and people who wanted to be involved in any of these boards?
That's a great question. Michelle, I'll let you chime in here because I know that you do a lot of the vetting on the youth.
I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm sorry.
The question was, do you have to be a citizen to serve on a board or commission?
A citizen of the city of the United States.
Of the United States.
Yeah. Good question. I'm trying to think back to some of the legislation.
You can maybe connect offline if you would want to do some checking, and then maybe Michelle could get back to you.
Sure, I'll drop my email also. Yeah, I'll connect back with you on LinkedIn.
That's great. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest. I mean, there's a lot of diverse population here in St. Louis from different regions. So, we are here, and we would love to be involved in all these, any opportunities with the city. So yeah, just want to check in on that. Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you. Someone asked if there's a review process for conflicts of interest. Yes, there is. That is built into the application. And so that's something that you will complete as a part of the application process for conflicts of interest. We'll take one more minute. There are any other questions? Perfect. Thank you all so much for your questions. This is a great discussion. It does not have to end here. Feel free to reach out to Michelle, and I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. We'd be happy to answer any other questions or concerns you might have as it relates to the boards and commissions application process. Beth?
And thank you, Angela, and thank you, Michelle, for your work. Thank you, Alicia, for joining us and sharing your story. I'm so happy about this partnership with the city of St. Louis and all the work the mayor is doing. So, as Angela said, reach out to us if you have additional questions. I do hope you take a couple minutes to evaluate our program here today. And so I will launch that. But once again, thanks for your time, and please stay safe with this crazy weather today.